All right, everybody, as promised or threatened, depending on how you look at it, we have our first ambassador joining us today to talk about kind of their history in running and what brought them to it, what brought them to the Back of the Pack podcast and the KC Hustle Club. So everybody put your hands together, not that we can hear you, but do it anyway. Go ahead and give a big round of applause for Sarah, who is on the show. Hello, Sarah.
Greetings and salutations, Kyle. Thanks for having me on.
I see what you did there. Nice. Nice.
I couldn't miss the chance.
Nope, I don't blame you at all. So Sarah is our first ambassador on the show. So this is something new that we're trying, but we're very thankful that you had come on. And we just had a few questions that we wanted to ask just to let everyone get to know you. And the first one is, when did you start running? When did you first get into our inexpensive, non-time consuming, no injury sport that we all have gotten into?
Right. So when I think back to when I started running, the first thing that actually came to my mind was having to run the mile in elementary school. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Do they still do that? Oh my gosh. I just absolutely hated that. I remember walking it one year and taking 20 minutes just to prove how not interested in running I was.
Awesome.
But my first legit 5K was actually in middle school, which would have been around 98 or 99, but don't do the math to find out how old I am. It was actually the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure. And my mom is a breast cancer survivor.
Awesome.
She went through breast cancer when I was in elementary school. And so we started doing that 5K as a way to celebrate her. And I honestly can't remember. We might have walked the whole thing, but I do remember that I just immediately loved that race day atmosphere. And we kept doing that 5K for many years. But I really wish I would have kept a log of all my races like you have. That is such a good idea. And I would have loved to look back on that. I did remember that my first 10K was in 2012. It was part of the North Face Endurance Challenge that they did here in Kansas City.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, they had like a 5, a 10, a half, a full, and then I think even a 50K. It was a huge race.
Wow.
And I did the 10K and I went to that event by myself. And I remember that I was just sobbing at the finish line because I was so overwhelmed and so proud of myself for running that far. And this random woman just came over and hugged me and told me how proud she was of me. And I mean, like, talk about the kindness of strangers, because I was so sweaty and I was a total mess. And she just wrapped me up. And I was like, this is the most amazing community. Like, people just love each other, and I love this. And I mean, that's really my first big, awesome memory from running.
That is awesome. Okay, so you started way before I did. If you were busting out your first 5K back in the late 90s.
It was super inconsistent, though. I mean, that was just kind of like that opportunity just happened because of my mom's breast cancer and the opportunity to support that foundation and cause.
Now, was that when they were...
I'm kind of an OG.
Yeah, you are. Now, was that back when were they still doing that down at Union Station?
Yes. Yeah, okay. That was down by Union Station.
Yeah, I did the Komen run, I think in 2012. I don't know. But then they seem to have stopped it shortly after that. Or maybe they just rebranded it. But,
you know, I was actually just kind of thinking about that as I was thinking about that race. I know I did it several years. I can't remember when we stopped doing it. But I also know they just kind of phased out. And I'm not really sure why. I'm not sure what happened there. But they may have just kind of rebranded.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I did get that race once. So. Okay, so we've got that. You started running way back when. And so would you say that it was your mother? Is that the why? Is that why you started running?
Yeah, honestly, I would say that my why was for that cause, like to run to celebrate my mom and everything that she accomplished going through that, and to support the work that the Komen Foundation was doing. And then it just kind of snowballed because I was just so instantly hooked on that atmosphere and just that sense of community that comes with being a runner. I just wanted more of that runner's high at the finish line.
Mm-hmm. And do you still feel that runner's high today? Like every time you
Yes.
finish a race? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I do. It's so awesome. Like, I just love that feeling and all the people that are just cheering for you that don't even know you. And everyone is just like, yeah, you're awesome. And I'm like, you know what? I am awesome. Thank you.
Be like, that's right. Thank you for recognizing my awesomeness.
Exactly. Thank you. You are right.
Let's see. So we met back at the Plaza 10K, I do believe.
Yes, we
All
did.
right.
Plaza 10K. Yeah.
Yeah. About how much did you run in 2022? I know I'm hitting you with a curveball here, but did you do a lot of racing back in 2022?
So it's funny because I was kind of going through like my running history,
Mhm.
and 2022 was the year that I really got back into running. I had my son, I have a 4-year-old son. I had him in 2018. And after I had him, I mean, kids are exhausting. I don't know if you know that.
I do indeed.
The kids are so exhausting. And so just after having him, I mean, physically and mentally, I just could not get back into running. I probably would have really benefited from getting back into running, but I just couldn't do it. But 2022 was the year that I finally got back out there. I started getting back into running. I started getting back into doing sprint triathlon, which is another thing that I really enjoy. 2022 was the year that I trained for and ran my second half marathon, which, if you would have asked me when I did my first one in 2017, if I would have ever done another one, the answer would have been a hard no. So that was a big shocker to everyone and myself that I did a second half marathon at the Kansas City half in
There you go.
October. And then the Plaza 10K, because I met you there. And it had been several years since I had done the Plaza 10K, but I had done that race a couple other times back in the past. And I mean, the Plaza, that whole area down there is really cool.
Yeah,
It's relatively flat. So it's just a fun race. And I've always enjoyed doing that one. So
I agree. Yeah, I can't recommend the Plaza 10K enough. I love that race.
it's great. It
Yeah.
really is great. And I feel like it's always got really good support too. It's a big race. There's always a lot of people that come out to support, and the weather is usually pretty good.
How great was this year?
Oh,
I still think of how perfect that day was.
yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, no, it was wonderful. So, okay, I want to ask you real quick because you mentioned it. A sprint triathlon. Break down the distances on that. What is a sprint triathlon? I am awful in the triathlon world.
Well, and I don't know a ton about it because I kind of just stay in my lane with the sprint, but I know there's like a ton of other distances that I may or may not conquer one day. But for right now, I just like the sprint distance, or the short distance as it's called. It is typically a 500-yard swim.
Okay.
And most of the time you're doing that in open water.
Okay.
Then you do a roughly 10-mile bike ride,
All right.
and then a 5K run.
Okay. Okay. Sounds about my speed.
Yeah, no, they have what's called a super sprint, which is half of each of those distances.
Okay.
So you could even start there if it was something you legitimately thought you might be interested in doing. But the sprint, I think, is a really great place for anybody to start who feels like they might be interested in it. I have gotten a couple friends involved in doing sprint triathlon who never would have thought that they would do one, mainly because they all say, I can't swim. Like, that's everybody's thing. I can't swim. I actually grew up swimming. I swam I was on the city swim team when I was a kid. I swam for my high school all 4 years. I mean, I wouldn't say I was like an Olympic qualifier swimmer by any means, but I would say that I'm very comfortable with swimming. Even saying that, though, I will tell you that there is something completely different about swimming in open water versus swimming in a pool.
Yeah.
So when I started getting into sprint triathlon a couple of years ago, I definitely took advantage of the open water swimming practice that they would have at some of the parks, like Shawnee Mission Park does them. Kill Creek out in Olathe would offer it sometimes. And that was super helpful because even as someone very comfortable in the water, it was a very different experience. And it was a little scary, I guess is the word, being in water where you can't see anything and you kind of, you have to learn how to sight raising your head. So it's different, but it just like running, the community is so awesome. Like, people just are so supportive of each other. And a lot of the people have running backgrounds. So, people that I've known from the running community also get into the sprint triathlon community, and I run into them at different training events. And it's just, something to kind of mix it up. It's just so that you don't feel like you're running all the time. Like it just gives you something else to do. Like, oh, today I can go on a bike ride. Today I can go to the pool and get some laps in. It just kind of gives you that, just something to switch it up and keep it fun, keep it different.
Nice. Yeah, I've been tempted, but like you said, I have been a little too scared to give it a whirl. So
well, you should. Seriously. Fun. If you ever think that you might really want to do it, let me know, because I'll give you some good ones. I would definitely say don't start with Shawnee Mission, because Shawnee Mission Park is so hilly. Oh my gosh, those hills will kill you. But there are some really good ones around, some really good local ones that would be awesome to start.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, I know about Shawnee Mission. So my daughter and I were out working one of the cheer stations this past year. So and we were at the top of a hill that everyone on the bike was trying to get up. And I mean, we did our best. We cheered, hooted, and hollered and rang cowbells and went nuts with everyone from Team Fidelis. But boy, those hills looked awful.
Oh my gosh.
The people coming by were in pain.
I have definitely seen some people that actually just have to get off their bike and walk up parts of the hills.
We definitely we had people walking up the hill. We'd go down and walk up with them, just try and keep them company. Because boy, awesome. they were hurting. Well,
and depending on the length of the triathlon that you're doing, sometimes you have to do the laps like 4, 6, 8 times.
Yeah.
So people that are doing the longest of the distance triathlons, they might be doing those hills like 8 times. It can be killer, but it's very fun. It's a super fun atmosphere.
It does. Now, do you have yourself a nice, big, awesome triathlon bike? You know, the ones that cost more than a car?
No, oh my gosh, no, I don't. I have seen many of those and I can't even believe how cool they are. But yeah, they are intense. I did my first couple triathlons on a $60 Walmart bike.
There you go.
And so for anybody out there who might be thinking about doing a triathlon but is afraid it's too expensive, no, I am proof that it can be done. Like I have not bought a wetsuit. I had that $60 Walmart bike. Like, it can be done. I did upgrade though a couple of years ago on my birthday. My big birthday gift was a new bike that was still not even a quarter of the cost of a car, but it was definitely an upgrade.
Yeah.
And I've definitely noticed a difference having a little bit of a nicer bike. But no, oh my gosh. So they used to do a women's only triathlon out at Smithville Lake called Win KC.
Yep.
I'm so sad because last year, this 2022 was actually the last year for them doing that event. And I'm so bummed because it was actually the first triathlon I ever did. And it was just so cool being out there with all these women, all ages, all body shapes and sizes, all athletic abilities. But just everybody was so excited and so supportive. And I will never forget that the first year I was doing that triathlon, I saw this woman. She was middle-aged. She was riding on her bike. And it was one of those bikes that had the big handlebars with the banana seat and the little streamers even that come off the handlebars. And I just started laughing and she had the biggest smile on her face. And I was like, that is awesome. You know what? Like, get out there on whatever you have and just do it and have fun.
Yeah, that is awesome right there. Yeah, I definitely saw bikes of all sizes and shapes and people on it out at the Shawnee Mission Park one. I'll tell you, it's very much the same thing. I saw a woman riding by. Now, she was younger. She definitely strikes me as more of a millennial hipster type person, but she had her little beach bike out there, had the basket in the front, the streamers off the side. Looking like she was cruising down, Santa Monica Pier or something. But
that's awesome. Well, if you wanted to bring like some gels or something to take on the middle of your ride, that would be a great place to keep them, is in a little bike basket.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, just have them right there in your basket. You can hand it out to people along the way. Here, need a gel?
That's so awesome. I love that.
That is funny. But okay, so something you said there, it segues well, at least in my mind, about just kind of the acceptance of that community and how everyone there, all shapes, sizes, ability levels, and supporting all of them. So that is, of course, kind of what we try and do over here with the KC Hustle Club and the Back of the Pack podcast. So my next question to you, when I came begging for ambassadors, why did you say yes?
Well, because when Kyle Walker says jump, you say how high.
I wish everyone else felt that way.
No, honestly, I was super thrilled when you guys asked me to be an ambassador. I love your podcast ever since I heard about it when I met you at Plaza 10K and our dear mutual friend Amy said, "Oh, this is Kyle. And, he's Back of the Pack Kyle." And I was like, I do not know what you're talking about. But but I love podcasts. So it was totally my jam to check you out. And I love it. I think that you really highlight the best things about running, like the health benefits, the community, the friendships, and most importantly, that we just all have that same goal of crossing the finish line. Like whatever our personal reasons, whatever our pace, we all share that common goal. And I just love that it's really highlighting inclusion in the running space, because I personally have always found myself somewhere in the mid to the back of the pack. And I love those vibes. I think that's where the fun happens, in my opinion.
Yep.
So, I think we're bringing some attention to people who might sometimes question their right to be there. And as an ambassador, I feel like I can help celebrate those people and be a positive and supportive voice for everyone that's out there putting in the work. And then with the Casey Hustle Club, I feel like it's coming in pretty hot. I feel like it's getting people excited about local races after a very weird couple of years.
Well, I know that's right.
And this club, Casey Hustle Club, I feel like it's just going to help bring together all the runners, like from those people that are at every race, toeing the line with their tank tops on in the middle of the winter, to the people that are literally trying to cross the finish line as it's being like taken down around them.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like Casey Hustle Club is going to have a place for every single one of those people. And I just have super high hopes that it's going to get everybody more excited to just be a part of this running community that we have in Kansas City that is so cool. So I'm very excited. I'm thrilled that you asked me to be involved in this.
That's awesome. Boy, and I couldn't have said that better myself. It made me feel so good.
Oh, don't get choked up.
I might.
If you cry, I'll cry.
Get a little verklempt. No, that's awesome. And no, we really appreciate you coming on. It's funny because producer Katie still talks about when you found us at the Casey Marathon Expo.
Oh.
She's so afraid that I was going to get a big head. She's like, yeah, Sarah ran over and she's like, you're the Kyle. Yes, I know. Katie, you've known me long enough. I will never be the Kyle. I'm just that guy who like, annoys your life. But, yeah. So she still mentions when you came over to the expo table. Cracks me.
I thought that was so cool. Like I said, that half marathon was a big deal to me because I did one in 2017 and it was a fantastic experience. Like I trained for that one with my best friend, and neither of us would consider ourselves half marathoners by any stretch of the imagination. I think that separately, a half marathon is something that neither of us would have ever done. Mm-hmm. But training for it together was so cool. We got to spend all this time together. We just really kept each other motivated. And then we were both so incredibly proud to finish it. But at the same time, I was like, check that box, one and done. I am good. I am never doing another half marathon again. I just was, my gosh, it was a lot. So when I decided to make that a goal of 2022 to train for and do that Kansas City half, being at the expo, I was like so excited. I just thought, oh my gosh, like I'm doing it. This is real. This is like a real expo. Look at all these people. And then I saw you guys and I was like, oh my gosh, like I know them for here. And I was like, it's Kyle. And I got to meet producer Katie. And then you guys asked me to do a little clip for a show that you were recording. And I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, they're like celebrities. And
oh, geez, no celebrity here. I still have to pay to get my own hats made. I'm wearing my back of the pack hat. Not that everyone can see, but I had to buy this hat. I paid for it.
Oh, gosh, dang it.
I know. So we're not there yet that I still have to buy my own merch.
Well, I think it's super cool. And I would definitely say that you guys are up and coming in the Kansas City race scene. Like, I think you're doing great things. And I think that there is tons of potential for you guys to bring a lot of light back to the community after, not that the Kansas City running community ever completely went away, but COVID just really hit everything hard, like not just us, but everything. And so now, it is kind of a slow rebuild to get people back out there and to get people excited about it again. And I think you guys are doing a lot of work to make that happen. So I'm excited to be a part of it. And you're still a celebrity in my mind.
All right. Well, I'm a celebrity to one person. And that sounds good to me.
Is Katie gonna edit that out?
No, she is not. Katie, you have to leave that in. Now
she'll be like, no. She'll be like, that's cut.
Do it. Yeah, well, probably. So, well, everyone, this is Sarah. She is one of our ambassadors. And so when you see her wearing her Casey Hustle Club stuff or Back to the Pack stuff or whatever, have you gotten your shirt yet that says ambassador on it?
I have not yet. No.
All right, Katie, Katie.
I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it in the mail every day, Katie.
All right. Well, she will have the shirt. She'll say ambassador. So make sure you go up and say hello to Sarah. Do you have any races on the calendar? You told me about one. Your next race is?
I've got the Sweetheart Run coming up in February.
There you go.
If you can believe it, I am doing another half marathon. I'm signed up for the Running with the Cows half marathon in May, which I'm super excited about because I hear that is a really fun, very scenic race. Although if I were to read back on your previous experience at Running with the Cows.
Yeah. Let's not make some of the mistakes I made with the cows in 2022.
Well, and it is a time because wasn't part of your issue that day that it was super hot?
That was everyone's issue.
Hot.
Yeah, it was unseasonably hot up into the mid 80s, if not upper 80s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so tough to run when it's hot and humid anyway, but especially when you're not necessarily expecting it, like a May race. So
I've done that race on years where I was wearing 2 layers because it was cold. And then we had this year where I could have run naked if I would have not made other runners quit the race because it was so dang hot. So, yeah.
You got to make some back of the pack racing briefs.
Yeah. Back of the pack banana hammock. It'll be great.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I get Katie right to work on that. I'm sure she'll be thrilled.
I'm sure she'll be thrilled. Absolutely. All right. So, so you've got the cows. That's awesome. I will be at the cows as well. And hopefully it's a nice, cool day. Nice, cool spring day. Are
you going to be running the half?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. I've done the cows almost every year. I think I only missed them 1 year, and that was after a heart surgery. So.
Well, that's probably a legitimate reason.
I don't know. Excuses. Suck it up and get out there.
That's right. Come on. Put your wine in.
Yep. So, all right. Well, that's where you're going to be at for a little bit. Now, are you going to try a triathlon this year?
Yeah. I'm still going to do a couple triathlons this summer. So I know I mentioned earlier the win for KC out at Smithville, and that being their last year they did that event was last summer. There is another triathlon that is out at Smithville that I've never done. It's the Matt Mason triathlon. And the reason I've never done it is because it is literally the weekend after win for KC. So I've just never really wanted to make the trek out to Smithville 2 weekends in a row, and do that 2 weekends in a row is just a lot of physical activity.
For sure.
But I think this year I may go out and try the Matt Mason, and they actually offer an Olympic distance, which is if you just take the sprint distance and double each of those, that would be the Olympic distance. And I'm kind of thinking that I might give that a try. If you see what I did there.
I like it. Give it a try, a TRI. A TRI.
But yeah, I'll do the Kill Creek Triathlon for sure out in Olathe. I do that one every year since about 2017. It's a really great race.
All right. Well, we're going to have you back on to talk about these triathlons. And then if anyone has any triathlon related questions, now we've got someone who can answer those. So
yes. I would love to come back on sometime and talk tri. It's not necessarily running, but it involves running.
There's certainly an aspect.
And the community is, I feel like, just as supportive and just as awesome as our running community. So yeah, I would be happy to talk to anybody who's interested about it. I am not an Ironman by any stretch of the imagination, but I am still happy to talk to people about my experience with it.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah, we can branch ourselves out into the triathlon area. I am going to try one. I know that I'm going to try one here at some point in time. It's going to happen.
Well, you let me know. If you think that this summer is the time, then you can get signed up for Kill Creek out in Olathe, and we can do that one together. It's a fun experience.
I'm gonna go look that up when we're done recording here and see if it interferes with anything on the race calendar.
Awesome.
And then figure out how I'm going to learn how to swim. Can I doggy paddle the whole thing? Is that all right?
You know what? You can do anything that you want to get through those 500 yards in the water. Another cool thing about it is I feel like I'm turning your running podcast interview into all this triathlon.
Nope. I love it. Bring it.
So when you do these events, when you do these swimming events, they have all these people out in the water that are, some are actual lifeguards, and then others are just people to be out there to have eyes on all the swimmers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of kayaks that will be out in the water, and they are totally cool with people stopping and like putting a hand on the side of the kayak for a minute and just catching their breath.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you don't pull them over, they are totally cool with that. I have seen people roll over on their backs and just float for a few minutes, or just kind of like do a little backstroke or just something like that. You can do what they call it, the dog paddle or the breaststroke, like whatever you need to do to get through it. You can do anything it takes to get from A to B.
I like it.
Yeah.
Every time I go out for that cheer station, I start thinking to myself, maybe I could do this. So
I think you could, and you would absolutely not be the only person out there nervous. I feel like if anybody's nervous about doing a triathlon, it's because of the swim. It's definitely the most intimidating of the three sports that you're doing out there, but you can do it. Like, you've got tons of people out there that are keeping an eye on you in case anything happens. I always feel like that's very nice to know that there are so many people out there just keeping eyes on us if anything were to happen. But I mean, you can do it. Maybe you can wear some of those little floaties that you put around your arms, water wings.
Don't think I wouldn't do that. I'll absolutely rock some water wings out there. I'll wear them for the whole thing too.
I will say I have never seen anybody wearing water wings, but I think you should be the first.
Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Kyle.
Absolutely. All right. Well, now I guess I have to go buy a bike because I don't actually own one. So
get a $60 Walmart bike. I'm telling you, it'll do the trick.
Right now, that's about where I'd be. So
yeah, that's all you need.
There we go. All right. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Sarah's definitely going to be back because I think we are going to talk about triathlons a little bit more as we can, especially if I get silly enough to sign up for one. Then we're definitely going to talk about them more.
I am so excited about this. I really hope you do. And I'd be happy to come back and talk about it. And thank you so much for having me on today and for asking me to get involved as an ambassador. I'm super pumped about it. And I'm excited to see where all of this goes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And that's going to bring us to the end of this show. So everyone have a great week of training. Thank you for joining us. And we'll be back next week with another new episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. This show is produced by Katie O'Neill and brought to you by OKKC Sports. And we'll see you next week.